Welcome to YouTooSpain Live. In today's Q&A, we have our very good friend Chris from Upsticks, and you will get the latest updates about Spanish visa centres in the UK, residency appointments in Spain, and residency renewals. So join us both on the virtual settee by the virtual pool. Relax, have a chat, ask questions. There will be plenty of helpful information and answers all throughout the show, right to the very end, so stick around and enjoy it all. Or if you're watching the video back afterwards, you can still answer questions. No, you can ask questions and you can chat. You can answer questions if you want in the comments below. Right then, gather round, give us a wave and hit that like button down there and have your questions ready, or just chill out and enjoy the show. You're all welcome to YouTooSpain. It is, as we always say, a win-win-win with a cherry on top. And get ready to dance. So here we go. Are you all ready? Let's groove. Oh yeah, groovy baby. As you can tell, I had a gig last night. I've got my Radio 2 voice on today. So before we get chatting, don't forget to make a note of our website. There, it's down there. It'll be on the screen all the way throughout the show. And that website is growing all the time. There are loads of articles, resources, specialists and links that you need for your move to Spain and for living here. It's a bit like the written version of the live YouTube channel that you're looking at now, and you can get very valuable and money saving info on the website too from our friends at Smart Currency Exchange, who have some really good ways of fixing a great exchange rate for you. They can fix it for a year or two so that you get, say for example, if you're getting your pension through in Spain from the UK. This is a speciality of theirs. They have the loveliest people there, and Trustpilot agrees with me on that. Very good reviews. There's a link below, as I say, to get in touch with them. Doesn't cost a penny, and it helps YouTooSpain out when you use the link. It is a win-win-win with a cherry on top. Let's put that up again. There it is. It's a bit slow today. Here we go. So, without further ado, let's meet my excellent, lovely guest for today. It's Chris from Upsticks. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
You're out in the wilds there, aren't you? You're not at home today. Whereabouts are you?
No, today we're in Almuñeca in the Granada province. So this is the Costa Tropical.
Beautiful.
I think we'll see. It's about half an hour from you. It's about an hour.
Yeah, more like 45 minutes. I think Nerca is half an hour.
But yeah, so it's just about an hour from Malaga.
Yeah, lovely. And weather's not so good. You were going to find a nice place in the park and searching around and couldn't find anywhere.
Yeah. No, it's a little bit of a. Oops, sorry. Am I still there? Okay.
Yep.
Are you still with me?
Yeah, I'm still there. You've gone sideways.
One second.
Yeah, I can still hear you anyway. I'll tell you what.
Will I continue to fix the technical details? Sorry, you
lovely.
Believe it.
I've got the weather forecast up for computer while you're doing that, just to show that it's not always sunny here. As you can see, Saturday.
To show what happens on a live. A bird just pooed on my.
Oh no! Live bird droppings.
It's all going wrong this morning. I had great plans. You know, we've done quite a few of these lives, haven't we? Out and about London.
Yeah.
For Menorca, and I thought, we'll do one from Almuñeca, but it all went wrong.
Things going horribly wrong. I hope that's not going to happen all the way throughout the show. Things going wrong, but the weather, which is something we do actually need the rain here, as you can see, or you can't see because of that. I can't even move that along. So temperatures at the moment 25 with rain. Sunday and Monday's not. It doesn't look like it's going to rain, but it's cloudy. But all the way throughout the week there, you see the temperatures dropping down 23, 22, 19, 18. So next Saturday's going to be chilly. I'm here in my hoodie. So it's all changed. I was as I said, I was doing a gig last night and we were in T-shirts in a beautiful little plaza in Caneas, the next village along. And it was still lovely and warm there, but so it's all changed. The autumn has set in.
Yeah, and thank goodness, really. I mean, we need it. It's don't get me wrong. It's been pleasant. Thursday, which was bank holiday, and that's why I'm here. So we sort of did what they call the 20, don't they, here in Spain? So you do
Yeah.
the bridge, you've got a day, and I worked from here yesterday. So and it was gorgeous because it's we're in the pool and it's 30 degrees nearly. But the truth be known is we're in a massive drought. So what's the change is what we need. I mean, our mayor summed it up in a video a couple of weeks ago. Said if we had a rainy day for the next 3 months, we would get back up to acceptable levels. It's so bad at the moment.
Yeah. And it's actually 2 years since me and Liz arrived, because it was on this same. Although the Puente day was the day before. The year we arrived, because it was a Tuesday, the 12th was a Tuesday, and so we got. So the Monday was off. So when we broke down on the Sunday, we had to wait all the way till Wednesday to find a garage that was open. I've told this story many times before now, I think.
Yeah, the Puentes, and the kids don't go to school, So it's when we were looking at coming away for this Puente, visiting some family, I mean, it means you have to pull the kids out of school for Friday because that is a work day, and then the school just went, we're not open.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
Fair enough. So it's good, and they do the same on the December Puente, don't they? So we've got this year the Wednesday and the Friday, the 68th, is the two bank holidays in December. So you'll find that very, very minimal services on the Thursday, and anybody who's got kids, they won't be going to school that day anyway. That's non-elective as well.
So let's have some shout outs to people. Have you got any clients you want to say hello to?
I actually want to give a shout out. Yesterday I was in Salabreña, and there's some colleagues of ours there, Espinosa Lawyers and Sue, who works with them, who we've been dealing with for about 4 years now, doing the withdrawal agreement now. I went over to see him yesterday, and because we've never met, it's horrible, isn't it? You work online and you see these things, but I thought, right, I'm over here, and they welcomed me with open arms. They've been great collaborators of ours over the last 4 years. And I just want to say I'd give them a shout out. Thank you for everything, and moving forward with them. So that's my shout out.
Excellent. You'll have to keep speaking up, because the occasionally traffic noise is loud this morning, and of course you're on the road.
Yeah, cheap headphones as well. I lost my headphones. These come from that shop over there.
So I'll say hello to Lisa Sander. Had a question which is about renewals, and we're doing that in the second half of the show, so we'll come to that, Lisa. I've already put a note there on the live chat. Morning, Robbo. 199 days until retirement. I bet you're looking forward to that. And morning to Suzanne Haywood. Morning all. Good morning, Jason, Andy Cooper, Marie Dye. Morning, Kenneth Hobbs, Janet Stanton, Lisa James again, Alicante Explorer, Omar Dean. That's a new name. Where do you pay the non-resident tax and to collect it? We'll talk about that when we get. That's no, it's a non-resident tax question. We'll come to that a little bit later. And did anyone notice Scat's guest from a couple of weeks ago, Sam, was on Bargain Loving Brits in the Sun? Oh, was she? I didn't know that. She didn't mention it. So, and hello to Anton Cares. We had no cars 7 weeks due to French August holidays, and no garage would take our breakdown till mid-September. Wow. Fortunately, we have an old car we used to keep us mobile. Face purple crying. I love it how sometimes these emojis don't come up. They come up in writing. And okay, and Jed Tierney, good morning. Old banger, that should have said. Ant says, there we go. Lovely to see you all on the live chat. We'll answer the rest of those points in a second. Just a little news update. There are new trains to Paris, I think, going from Madrid next year. So that's an interesting thing for all of you lovers of train travel. That is really, really good news. And so that would make it really easy to get from right down here from Malaga up to Madrid. That's only, how long does it take on the Renfe, on the AVE?
I
It's only a
think the
couple of
fast
hours.
one's an hour and 45, isn't it? And then there's a slower one as well. It takes 3 hours. But
Yeah, but
you're
still, so
looking.
it wouldn't take long to get to Paris.
No, they did have. You see, they launched a lot of cheap tickets,
Hmm.
and but I couldn't get in. It was on repeat all the time. You put it on there, you're the number 14,000 in the queue. And, I gave up in the end, which is a shame. But yeah, there's something to look out for. Maybe we should be ahead of the game on that a bit more. But I got in about a few hours earlier. From my friends got them, €7. So
Brilliant, isn't it?
sometimes.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's been a lot of pushes from, especially from our Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, to get public transport working even better. I mean, there's already good public transport in Spain, but he's pushing the trains and everything. There was actually on Wednesday's video, I have to do a bit of a retraction, bit of an inaccuracy. I put out that the toll roads, there was going to be loads and loads more toll roads in Spain, and that's Sanchez's plan as well. But I announced that the whole plan had been scrapped. It's not been scrapped. It's been delayed, and probably because of the fact that the election didn't bring up a new prime minister, and it's still kind of hanging in the balance, isn't it, as to whether he's going to remain. And so it's unlikely to happen on January the 1st, 2024, like the plan was. But there are other plans in place to make train travel more attractive and easier. And I think the trains to Paris are one of them, and the extra trains that are on from Malaga to Madrid and back. So there's loads of that going on. So I must try it.
And to mention the bus network as well, ALSA, the national. I mean, they're incredible. I obviously don't mind buses. Then we once did it from Granada to Madrid. It was great. Like a 5-hour journey, 2.5 hours with a film, stop for half an hour for coffee, and then 2.5 hours it drops you right at the bus station, which is on top of the metro station, and it was cheap as chips. So you never really want to be driving in Madrid. So even the bus is a great option if you don't mind.
Yeah, just quite a trek to drive up there.
Boring drive.
Yeah. So, we're talking of mistakes and inaccuracies. Here's an interesting menu item. You've picked this up, didn't you, from the... you keep seeing some very funny things, and this is one of them that you saw. Beef I should say stroganoff. They've even spelled stroganoff, but beef stroganoff de cerdo, which is pork in Spanish. So, beef of pork. Beef made with pork. Which I think is brilliant.
Contradiction in terms, in a bit of Spanglish and bad spelling. I saw that in the restaurant here on our first evening. I thought that's quite comical. I'd love to know what a beef stroganoff of pork tastes like.
Yeah, me too. So I've got a picture of what a stroganoff looks like, just for the sake of it. There we go. That's a proper stroganoff. That's a beef one. Mushrooms, I believe, is in there. Anyway, it looks lovely. I'm getting hungry now. So the other sign that you came across, and this is highly amusing. That means if you want to find the route N340, go this way. But obviously, it spells out a word that I'm not going to say live.
You'll get banned. That's on the way to Salabreña. I drove past it and I thought that's rather an unfortunate coincidence on the Decathlon side. Yeah,
and it's not as if it's a different word in Spanish. I was just asking you this before the show. It's the same word in Spanish, so it's not as if Decathlon have just, it's a Spanish person that's put that up. But no, I think they're having a good laugh there.
I think someone in the marketing department of Decathlon was having a giggle, wasn't it? And it's huge. That sign is massive. It's so to have.
There you go. And we've given them an advert. That's probably what they want. They want everybody to show it so that you can advertise their brand. So well done. You made us do it. Congratulations. What was the other thing you wanted to say? Oh yes. What's the old name for Almuñeca?
Yeah. So they have here in Almuñeca the I would say Arabic name is the area is Sexy SEXI. So obviously everywhere you go, it's quite charges, but it's like sexy rented cars.
Yeah.
Sexy hotel.
Brilliant. I love that
Sexy
kind of
parrot
thing.
park.
We need photographs of that so that we can show them next week.
I've got the renter cars there. Look, I don't know if
Oh,
you
there
can
it
see.
is. Brilliant. I
That's
love
what they.
Almuñécar. Yeah, Almuñécar is brilliant. There's a jazz festival on, which it wasn't on this year, I don't think, but we're going to it next year. But going to Malaga Jazz Festival in November. That's going to be brilliant. I've got my jazz voice on today. Hi, that's nice. So
They have a
let's.
big food festival as well in the same place.
Mhm. Yeah, what is it in that? It's in a lovely park, isn't it? Where there's the great big castle walls and the
Yeah.
palm trees and everything. They light it up brilliantly when the gigs are on. Fantastic green and blue lights. So yeah. So were there any questions on the live chat before we just go on to the subject of today's show? We've been waffling on for 15 minutes. So no, let's answer that one. Where do you pay the non-resident tax? Yeah.
So if we're talking about the non-residence property tax, that's your model 210, basically,
Hmm.
and that has to be paid by the end of the year for your previous year. But I mean, what I would advise people definitely now, and I was actually speaking to Antonio Wednesday about this because he manages ours for our clients.
Hmm.
There's this, so just to explain what it is, so non-residence tax, if you're a property owner, you have to pay basically this non-residence tax, and it's due any time the following year after the previous year, if that makes sense. If you've owned a house for the full year in 2022, or even part of that year in 2022, you have from the 1st of January to the 31st of December 2023 to pay that tax. You have a full year to pay it.
Yep.
What you'll find is the best time of the year really to get hold of people to do it is after this third quarter. So if you are using a HESTOR or a professional to do it, which we definitely would advise you to do, wait until after the 20th of this month because everything's
Hmm.
closed for company accounts, and that sort of quiet period. And then don't do what most people do is remember about it in December, because most people in December are, they're preparing the end of the year. Don't forget that about the 24th onwards until the 10th of January, not a lot really
Hmm.
happens. So the time of the year really to get it, if you haven't done it, would be November. Get it done.
Yeah. So if you've not got a HESTO, where do you pay it? I think that was his question.
Oh, in Hacienda. Sorry, in Hacienda. So the tax office. So if you haven't got a HESTOR, then you'd have to go to your tax office. Now, if you've
Can you
got a
do it
digital,
from out of the country?
if you've got a digital certificate, you can do it online.
Uh-huh. I hope
So
that answers your question.
it would be presential at Hacienda. Digital certificate, you should be able to do it online, or if not,
Hmm. Okay. Dan Bryan is asking, trying to apply for my residency, but being told it may take up to 6 months. Will there be any repercussions as it's over the 90 days?
residency. And if it's an EU, if it's an EU passport holder, then you're not really going to have. So we've got to remember, what we always say is the difference between a third country national and an EU citizen is EUs have the right to be here and must just register. Okay, and the law says that you can spend more than 90 days, then you should register.
Hmm.
Whereas third country nationals can only stay if they have a residency in progress, for example, like an EU family member. Yes,
Hmm.
if I have an EU citizen who then has a family member who applies, they go over the 90 days, but they have a file which is called en trámite. Okay, they can stay until they get the resolution of that.
Yeah.
Same with golden visa applicants, for example, people who come in and qualify to actually apply within Spain.
Hmm.
Then what you can't do is apply at a consulate, wait for a visa, and overstay your Schengen.
Hmm. Okay. He is an EU passport holder, says lower down here on the chat. And he says, assume the 90 days still apply. But no, you're safe there.
Yes, I mean, look, at the end of the day, as we know, before Brexit, there's many Brits who spent 10 years here without registering and never got out. But there's a lot of contradictions in terms with this in certain areas of Spain. So one thing is, let's take a hat off to Malaga, because they seem to be doing the EU citizens everything correctly. So an EU citizen basically rock up, put their stuff in place, bring money over if they're using savings, go with an actual balance certificate and go to the police station and say, I've got here 3 weeks ago, in the state, can I register? And they generally yes. To the point where we've managed to get some now without even a pad one certificate because they needed the residency to get themselves set up even for that. Whereas areas like Valencia and Alicante, sometimes they request things like 6 months bank statements and the money to be in there for 6 months and a fixed balance, which contradicts the law totally. You know, this is where the confusion comes. A lot of people, we've got a colleague in Valencia that we work with, which we'll be seeing next month actually, and he was saying a lot of people turn up, set up bank accounts as non-residents, pay the fees, put the money in, then come back when they're ready to get their residency and all sorts of things like that.
Great. Hope that answers your question, Dan. Oh, he does say, fantastic. Thanks, guys. And one last question then before we get onto the topic of today's show. We'll get there eventually. And it's an interesting question. What do you guys think of intensive language courses? Have you had any experience with them? I'm tempted in doing a 2-week one in Seville. I like the idea of intensive language courses because it means you're focusing on just that for a week or two.
Never had an experience myself, but I think it's a fantastic idea. I mean, learning Spanish, the best way is to immerse yourself. You know, so I'm not always the biggest fan of structured lessons. I think sometimes it can put unnecessary stress on people. But I think if you are going to immerse yourself and go for 2 weeks, you're going to walk out of there with a lot more than you walked out. So
yeah, I'm not sure it would work for me actually thinking about it because after an hour's Spanish lesson that I've done, my head is absolutely full. And I feel really tired after that. So I think it's worked out better than I've been doing one of those a week. And now the best. Yeah. So maybe not the best for me, but I always did love the idea of them. So, and if there's a lot of chatting and immersing yourself in chat and you're chatting with Spanish people during that 2 weeks, I think that would probably be the best. And that would work for me because that's what I need now. I need to be able to hear, I need to be able to listen and to speak with Spanish people. So fortunately I can do that where I live. So that's good.
That's how I initially learned. I came 23 years ago. I lived with Spanish waiters. In the same apartment, we all lived together, and it was, and nobody made any concessions to me not being able to speak Spanish. If you don't understand, it's your problem. So, evidently, with that sort of immersement to defend yourself after about 3 months, you really, the understanding comes first. It comes from that comes later. But if you immerse yourself like that, you've got to walk out with some form.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a bit of a laugh in the shop in town in Computer yesterday when I went in. The guy was there on the counter, and there was a woman in front of me who was leaning over the counter, looking in at all of the different meats and asking in very slow English, and continued to do so even when they spoke back and when it was obvious that they couldn't speak any English. She was still asking them questions, and I looked at the shop owner and went, got a smile from him there because he's used to me from the early days of almost being like that. Except I was trying to speak Spanish at least trying to get a few words out, shouting out "Chuleta" or something like that. It's
I think the best way. Prepare your little book, go in. I used to have like my books prepared, a little book, and I still got the book. Write my phrases and go in and just be prepared and say, right, practice it. And everybody has a laugh, get it wrong.
Yeah.
If you keep on doing it, just keep hitting it. Eventually, something will stick.
Yeah. That's good. So let's move on. I know there's some questions coming up in the comments, but let's get onto the topic, and I'll keep digging into the live chat, and we'll definitely answer all of your questions. So, the main topic of today's show, we'll start with visas in the first half, especially non-lucrative ones from the UK, and then after the break we'll move on to the residency appointments that happen once you've arrived in Spain with your lovely new visa, and then we'll finish with any updates on renewing your residency in years 2 and 4. Oh, one person is saying, I can't hear anything from your mate. That I think your microphone's not brilliant, Chris. So I think it's
Can, can you hear now?
yeah, it's a little bit distorted there. I think it's when your voice goes down towards the end of a sentence. When you're speaking big and clear, then it's I can hear you.
Let me just speak loud then. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Carry on. I think it's
I
because
haven't.
you.
My technology today hasn't been the best, has it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right. And I think it's because you're outside. What these microphones do is they cancel out the background noise. So if your voice goes low, it cuts out your voice as well because it's trained to cut out low noise. So there you go.
I'll speak loud and clear.
Well, that's better, says Tony Traveller. Excellent. So, non-lucrative visas from the UK. The visa appointments. As watchers know, there are 3 consulates, but they're in the process of change. They are,
Yeah.
of course, farming out the visa process to a company called BLS. So let's look at what stage the 3 consulates and BLS are at with the changeover process, starting with BLS London. That's the big news at the moment, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So London, well, apart from there's another thing that's happened this week, which I'll explain. So London are now changed fully onto the BLS platform, and they sent out a lot of messages to people by email who are applying for codes to get onto the London calendar to book their appointment. It happened at a sort of a crossover period where people actually had codes and couldn't use them, to then direct them to the BLS website to book an appointment. But the BLS website isn't working to book appointments at the moment.
Uh-huh.
So we managed to get hold of the direct number for the BLS office in London, which I've given you, so I know that you can get that. So anybody looking for an appointment at the BLS office in London at the moment will need to call that number and book an appointment directly with them. And as it stands, they're giving them next day. We've had a couple of clients who called, have to change. You just have to be quite insistent on the phone, because sometimes when you call it, it says, "Oh, mailbox full, you can't get through," and then I think that's when they turn the phone off. But apparently, it's open from 8:30 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. We've found a lot of people have success between 10 and 12. So, that's the way the booking system's going for appointments in London.
Okay. So basically, they're in the changeover period, but having problems with the system. Yep.
When we don't know if this is a complete coincidence because of what they've done, but it seems to be reactionary to that. Now, last week we heard from the consulate, when the consulate require extra documents, they send out a letter called a requirement letter. They give you 10 days to answer that letter. And we haven't had one from BLS yet, ever since when they've been processing it. There was one that we had, which we had to answer using a letter because what they were asking for wasn't possible to get, and those visas got approved. But then last week, out of nowhere, they just suddenly, to our clients, they sent out 5, and they were all exactly the same. It was crazy. So I don't know if anybody else out there who's applying through London. It'd be good to know if you got letters requiring. It's all surrounding the financials. So what they sent to people were they want further proof of the origin of the funds. Now, we always tell people to take that if there's been large movements of money within the 6-month period in the bank account, for example. So if you've sold a house, that would be a completion statement. If you've received a gift from somebody, that person has to actually notarize a letter in front of a notary saying they won't ask for that money back. So there's certain things you have to put in place if you've received large sums of money for inheritance, maybe. But these letters came to people who had had the money in the bank for a while. So some of which from 2014. So we've had to write this last week. We had to write some really long escritos and explanations for the consulate explaining the origin of people's funds, albeit they've been in the bank for a set amount of time.
Cool.
So,
yeah. So any other news from London, or is that's the big news, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the big news. Apart from that, I mean, what you're getting from them as well is we've had clients come in and gone, "Oh, you're going to be about 6 weeks of visa," and then the following day people come back and said, "Oh, they told me it'd be 2 weeks." So look, still look at the moment. It's like a 4 to 6 week, average. And if it comes out earlier, you've done well. Don't forget that they will retain your passport there in London. They do, so you need to take a self-addressed envelope each. Okay, one each for the appointment. If there's two of you, or if more, there's a family, we need to take one each.
Yeah, even for children's passports.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've come to that conclusion after a couple of experiences this year. It's just, albeit that if they decide to use one passport, one envelope, send them all back in the same one, where you've lost 3 envelopes. But it's belts and braces, one self-addressed, next day tracked envelope, and make sure you take a photo of the stickers. Track.
Good question from Robbo. Says, would I need a letter of proof for my large deposit of the pension lump sum when I present the paperwork?
Yes, you will. Yeah. So, and in respects to those kind of letters from pension providers, completion statements and stuff like that, it's better if it comes on letter-headed paper from the person who's releasing the funds. Rather, a lot of nowadays lawyers just email the completion statement. So there you go. This is what you're getting. But unfortunately, an email isn't sufficient.
And those have to be translated as well, these letters?
At the moment in London, no. So what we're doing, we're having plenty of success with none of the financial requirements being translated in London. But if you get a letter, which is a requirement letter, then it's always a good idea then to translate whatever you're sending so they can clearly see what it is. Okay, so we normally, first-time applications don't require any translations for the financials, but if you do get one of these letters which requires you, then some of it would be good. If this is an intricate explanation of where the origin of funds is, it'd probably be best being done then.
Okay, great stuff. The passports, being allowed to keep your passports, is that different in Manchester and Edinburgh?
Yeah, it is. So moving north now, in Manchester at the moment, they're still allowing you to keep your passport. We still don't know when they're going to be moving over to the BLS office. If they're going to be moving over, let's see. We have got no more. And we had people going through there on Wednesday. So we still know that Manchester is the place to go, and they are letting you keep your passport. So it's the consulate and passports. Manchester are being quite slow at the moment in releasing the visas. We've had a couple that we checked, people with NIE numbers. We can check the status here in immigration, and a lot of the times after 4 or 5 days, it actually says as well done, actually says approved. And they're still not getting visas till 6 weeks after that. So we're assuming that the blockage is there in Manchester, really.
And Edinburgh?
Edinburgh again. In Edinburgh at the moment, in a halfway house, where you can't book your appointment on the BLS website, but you go to the BLS office. So you have to email Edinburgh, and they have a Google Calendar set up, believe it or not. So they send you a Google Calendar link, which you have to accept. Been very good at giving out people specific appointments that we been booking for them. And this week, shout out to Mr. Allen, who had his appointment this week, who they requested 12 months bank statement rather than 6. So Edinburgh seemed to want a full year's worth of financials stability. Which they were happy with, because they took 6 months. They were happy with him running to a coffee shop and emailing the rest, which was great.
Great stuff. And have we said how long the visas are taking to come through with all 3 consulates?
Yeah, London's by far been the quickest at the moment. They seem to be turning around, maximum 4 to 6 weeks. Manchester, we have only just cleared our July applicants, can you believe it or not? So, they're taking a long while. And Edinburgh seems to be the same. I'd say about Edinburgh, though, if you get past a couple of months, it's worth giving them a chase or 2. And if you do they seem to be sympathetic now. I've had this on a couple of occasions when we've sent polite emails explaining the people's circumstances and the fact why they do need the visa. And then they've been quite obliging and issued them. So it's worth never going angry with these emails. Always going politely, but it's always worth a polite email if you are struggling because you haven't got it yet.
Yeah, it's worth being polite in general, isn't it?
Yeah, it always helps, especially with Spanish administration.
Yeah,
As much as you want to scream and shout.
yeah, it can make all the difference. So, did we have another question there? Jed was asking, this is slightly off topic, but is there a problem using Irish passport to gain residency, but being a UK pensioner for getting an S1 for S1 health cover? You can still get the S1, can't you?
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not at all. That's not a problem at all. We've done many like that now.
Yeah.
And family members. So we had family members, which was a British citizen whose Irish partner was a dependent on the S1. Imagine that way round.
Yeah.
Okay. And that went through. That went through fine. The initial EU residency, we presented just the S1 along with the Irish passport and other forms of proof of where they live and financial income. And then it was all submitted to immigration, and the British person got their residency. One important thing to notice on that, though, is that they weren't able to register both S1s until the main S1 applicant got their residency. So you could be a delay, so you might need to cover yourself with medication and stuff in that period.
Okay, that's well worth knowing. Andy Cooper is asking, does the visa start on the date of issue, or can you ask for a specific start date? Yeah, you can put it backwards, can't you?
You can request a specific start date. Now, a lot of people who are looking to come in quite soon, so say, for example, we had some clients going through London last week. They put a start date on their health insurance of the 1st of November, because we know pretty much you're not going to get the visa in that 3-week period. So, but they are keen to get in with a visa. So I said, look, start the health insurance on the 1st of November. You have to have it paid, your certificate and proof of payment, but the start date can be the 1st of November. Put 1st of November as your expected entry date, which coincides with the insurance, and then hopefully it'll come, straight after that. Now, if you want to go slightly earlier, you may be able to push that back to the 1st of December, for example. So if you've been to appointment think not actually that keen to get in yet, then you can push it back.
How far can you push it back?
Very much depends on. I mean, we always like to. In our experience, it's best if the entry date coincides with the start date of the health insurance. If you're having health insurance, and normally most health insurance companies won't say you it more than 2 months in advance. Okay, so
that's a good point.
That's that to bear in mind. If you're an S1 applicant, then I wouldn't say that any more than which doesn't. You can't. S1 doesn't have a start date, but you do have to request the date that you'd like it to start. Paid start date. Then whatever date you've asked from the pensions authorities for your S1 to start will be a good date to aim.
Yeah, I did have a question on, I'm not sure where it was, I think it was on our Facebook group, saying, is it all right if I, moving in, I'm thinking of going for my appointment in November, but not moving until July next year. I think, well, that's a bit too long, because things might change in that period of time. And
that's too long, yeah. You don't want to be any more than 3 months before you expect an extra date.
Good answer. So, any other updates on BLS and the consulates thing?
No, that's about it, man. If you have had, or people looking back and they've had one of these crazy requirement letters from the consulate, and you're worried about what you need to present, just remember that honesty is the best policy on that front. And you are in your right to have them. You don't just have to throw them a bunch of documents. This is where the money came from. We always try and write a very detailed overview letter and say, okay, then well, look, you've had this, and this is now what we're giving you, and this we'd like to tell you why we're giving it to you. Yeah, and bullet point what you can. Don't be War and Peace, so they fall asleep reading it. That not quite be but a very good explanation as to why you're presenting what you are presenting. If you've been asked for further documents, it's perfectly fine. Personal statement.
Great stuff. And just to reiterate, then, BLS London, phone them up.
Yes,
you can't get on the appointment system.
Yeah.
There we go. That's the summary then. So
I couldn't get on the website this morning, so I didn't have I haven't got my VPN here on the laptop, so we have to use a UK VPN to get onto the BLS website. For some reason it kicks you out.
Yeah.
if you're on the Spanish one. And this morning I thought I'll just have another check, see if there's been any updates. So I couldn't even get onto it because I'm in Spain, it said. So that's the
Okay.
people, applicants in Spain who are looking at BLS website. You know, you have to have a VPN.
Good to know. All right then. So before we continue and talk about residency, we're going to have a quick message from me and my alter egos about the wonderful things available to you as YouTooSpain fans. So take it away, Scats. Are you getting something helpful from this show? Are you enjoying YouTooSpain? Then click on the thumbs up and subscribe to YouTooSpain while you're here. And click on the bell for notifications. It's all free, but it's worth loads of money. I need coffee to keep my picker up. You can donate coffee to us all. There's a link in the video description below, or use the QR code. It'll be in the top left-hand corner of the screen after this message, sweetie. But that's not all. You can support YouTooSpain with a regular monthly amount. It's only a few quid. Oh, he's worth a lot more than that. There's a link below to Patreon, where you can find out what extra groovy things you get by helping out. Oh, I'm all a quiver. One more thing. Get on with it. There's an important guest twiddling their thumbs. All right, calm down. The lovely video watcher needs this. Go on then. There are lots of other links to vital things below. Like what? Well, do you need private healthcare insurance? Yes. Do you need a visa or residency? Do you need to exchange currency? What about finding a property? Or getting tax and pensions advice? Or getting a Spanish mortgage? Or getting documents translated and apostilled? Or getting a medical certificate? Or finding a lovely little app for learning Spanish? Do you need the best mobile phone provider? Or a digital business card so you never need paper ones again? Or do you just want one of YouTooSpain's t-shirts with a slogan on it? You can even get discounts on dental treatments and get a lovely little smile like Scats. All of those links are there, down below. If you can't find them, ask me in the comments. Is that everything, darling? I need to get my nails done. Probably not, but let's get back to the show, shall we? Back to Scats in the studio. I wanted to say that. Oh, stop being beastly, you two. You too, Spain. Over to you, Scats. Thank you, Scats, and Walter, Tommy and Dick for joining us. If you have any questions for any of them, you can ask in the comments. I'm also in the process of filming and writing and filming a new updated message to go in the middle of the show. And at last you'll have some contributions from the Colonel. So watch next week's show and you'll find out what rubbish he comes out with. And Tommy's taking a break because he's not been in any of the videos for ages. I don't know if he's unpopular or what, but we'll get him back in if any of you request that. Anyway, but it's difficult because he's also a southerner and he says a lot of the same things that the Colonel is now saying, but I think the Colonel says them a lot better. He's far more extreme and funny.
If he knows how to get rid of mosquitoes, can we have him back? Don't get him killed.
Oh, he'd probably send them on a boat to Rwanda, knowing the Colonel. Yeah, no, we've flies and mozzies up here as well. I had to spray myself before going out to the gig last night because when you're standing there playing your guitar, the flies actually land on the hand where you're playing. Normally, flies wouldn't go anywhere near you if you're moving about like that, but they just they just go for it, and you can't swipe that when you're playing the guitar. It's terrible. I don't like him at all. Yeah. So yeah.
I'm gonna try not to do like really funny movements here, so I'm getting eaten alive.
Oh no. Well, we won't go on too long today. Then we'll make sure. So what are we doing? Residency updates. What do you have for us? So this is when you arrive in Spain and you need to go to the National Police Station, the Extranjeria.
Yeah, so I mean, things have settled down now since summer. What we've noticed, I mean, the biggest update would be, in terms of people registering their visa, is the appointments in Alicante. Now we know that during this year there was a big crackdown on people getting appointments illegally, trying to sell them and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And but what we've seen is, I mean, the appointments in Alicante were an absolute nightmare. Get to help people. We would be up at 7 o'clock on a Sunday in certain areas, You know, they
Mhm.
published them
Oh,
then.
pick your mic up again, Chris.
Published them
That's
then,
better.
you know, in the morning. And now they're a lot more readily available to the point where now they're too soon for us. Now we're having to wait. You know, so that's really really good news. Again, Malaga as well. Malaga appointment system. If you remember in the summer, it seemed to slow down an awful lot, and that's working. That's working really well. Extremely busy, I have to say, especially in the main office in Malaga. There, they seem to be having an awful lot of appointments, and people are turning up, and it's just packed all the time. If they have a lot of problems with the security certificate when you're booking an appointment, so you know if you do see that the appointments aren't working for that day, the best thing to do is just give up and try another day.
Mhm.
Right. And they are very, very, very insistent now, but you can't just rock up and try and make an excuse and say, look, I've had an extra stuff. Computer says
Mhm.
no, you have an appointment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a couple of points, valid points to look on. You know, just when you are getting your visa registered, make sure when you've registered your visa and you get your document back called a resguardo, and if they normally give you, if I'm talking about renewals now, they give you a TIE card back to swap once you get your new one. Make sure you get everything back properly because with the rushing, we've seen people that haven't had all their stuff handed back, and that can cause a problem, you know, down the line. So, you know, you've got police stations like Bata, for example, only have 4 appointments a day, and they take 45 minutes because that's all they're doing. Whereas places like Malaga are doing them every 10 minutes, just churning them out, churning them
Yeah. Yeah.
out.
And just a quick note from Dan earlier, which is worth saying. And he's just saying thank you basically for all the advice that we've given him over the last 18 months while he's been subscribed, made their move to Elche. So much easier. Incredible show, amazing advice, and I can't thank you enough. I thought that was worth saying. Thank you so much for that, Dan.
Yes, sir.
And so, yes, residency. Any other updates? Anything else that's changed recently?
No, I mean that's about it. They say Malaga are doing really well with the EU appointments. Now, what we have got a problem with across the board is the I think we're going to go on to renewals as well, won't we? But
Yeah.
is the submissions on the online Mercurial platform. So this platform is if you're an EU family member or if you're renewing your visa, you will submit the documents on this platform or get somebody to do it for you. That's part of the visa.
Mhm.
Um, the backlog is incredible at the moment. I mean, we had one client who they normally don't go. We're talking about NLV renewals past the 90 days past expiry of the PAE card. So we've got a 5-month window. We had one client who submitted their application 1 month before the expiry, and it didn't come out till 4.5 months after expiry. So it went over the 90 days. We raised the incident. They got back to us and said, "You just got to wait. We're waiting for information from somewhere else." We believe it's because of the Ministry of Justice strikes, because every time you do an application on that platform, criminal records checks are automatically done on you. The National Police Frontiers have access to everything. And they make external checks on you, and if they don't receive those checks back, your file gets held up. And we're having an awful lot of delays on that platform.
That's good to know. Let's get to Lisa Sanders' question, which was even before we came onto the broadcast today. It's about renewals, so we'll move on to that. So, for my first renewal for years 2 and 3, what's the exact amount of funds available I need to show if using both savings plus income? And what are acceptable verifications of the income? Good one.
Ooh, we've got a whole show on this, haven't we?
We have, yeah, yeah. So let's put it in brief, in a nutshell.
To summarize basically what the best advice you can have on this front, 'cause I've had a lot of questions. I think there might have been something raised its head on social media this week about only having a year's worth of money for savings. The best advice still is for the renewal to have double the EPREM that you presented for the first year if you've only got savings. So say, for example, you are a couple and it's 36,000 at the current EPREM rate, then you would need 72 in savings to guarantee that your renewal minimum will be accepted. If you have passive income, that passive income is considered as double over the 2-year period. Okay, so say you've got a passive income of €1,000 a month, that would be classed as 24,000. You would have to make up the gap to 76 if you're a couple using savings. What I would say is when you are submitting your renewal, if you have any sort of, if it's not just a lot of people just come with a bank statement and say, there you go, Chris, at the Spanish bank, all their money, stick it in. That pretty much speaks for itself. If you have more than 2 or 3 sources of passive income and savings, again, it can't harm just writing a little overview of what you're actually presenting. So when that person who's the other side of the computer looks at it and goes, and the Annex 1, recurring income, Annex 2, etc., etc.
So the exact amount of funds available to answer a question is going to depend on whether it's whether you're a solo applicant or whether you're a couple and whether you've got family. But the annual EPREM 28,800, you'd need to, if it was just savings, then you'd need twice that, which is 57,600. Yeah, so that's the exact amount, although probably best not to go in with that exact amount in the bank. Probably best to have slightly more than that.
Right, more. If you now again, it's the property question. They say they take into account property. If you've got property in Spain, always use the nota simply, which proves that you own property, and it's you can get an up-to-date one from the land registry. But they never tell us how much that actually contributes to the EPREM value. So it's always stick that in as well. But and then in terms of I think Lisa asked about the documentation to present. Now, there's no problem presenting documents from abroad if you've got assets abroad, but if they don't accept the verification of that document that you've put in, that needs to be, any document on renewal has to be translated if it's not in Spanish. Okay, every single one, unlike the initial application in the UK. If they don't accept it, then you only get 10 days to correct the situation, which would mean either trying to apostille and legalise, original documents from banks, or just bringing the money to Spain, put it in a Spanish account, and getting a verified document.
Great stuff. I'm just zipping down the live chat here to make sure we haven't missed anything. And Jason said, it's a frequent question, any update when ETIAS will start? No, you will be the first to find out because I will be blasting out a video immediately, a news item. I'll get Doogie Dog onto it immediately. He can dig around and find out what's going on. And let's see if there's any more that we've missed out. Is it necessary? Oh yeah, this is Adrian Istrate. Is it necessary to have €7,000 in a bank account and private health insurance for obtaining an NIE if you hold a European passport? He works as a freelancer.
If it's no, to get an NIE certificate as a non-resident, no. Now, what I'd imagine is here there may be a little bit confusion between the NIE and the European registration residency card. In these circumstances, as a freelancer, if you're coming to work in Spain, you would be registering as autónomo. So you would need your NIE first, which doesn't require any form of proof of healthcare and income. And then once you have that, believe it or not, as a non-resident, you can use that NIE number. I think as you did, Scat, didn't you, to register as autonomo, and then you can use that as part of your residency application. That covers you for healthcare.
But so it's presumably he's talking about the residency application. That's when you need to have money in the bank or prove your income or something like that.
That's correct. Yeah. So if it's a residency application and being a freelancer, he'd probably have to register self-employed. But if he's not registering as self-employed, you have 2 platforms. You have to have the money in the bank and a private healthcare, or be employed or self-employed. And if you're employed, you don't need proof of funds. If you're recently self-employed, some of the foreign offices actually make you show funds that you're going to have just to get you through that initial period. As we said before, with places like this $7,000 thing comes up with places like Valencia and Alicante, they seem to request 100% bank months. So that's where, whereas here at Malaga, it's not as strict, but those areas generally want to see that you've had that money in the bank for a set amount of time, so they'll let you apply.
Voice is disappearing again slightly, Chris, but there we
Oh,
go.
sorry.
Your hand keeps dropping. There we go. So I missed out El Davido's question as well, asking for a friend who lives in Spain and is in years 2 to 3 of residencia. If he were to marry an EU citizen, not Spanish, doesn't make too much difference, but how would that affect his residencia? Or he said, I mean his application, but it kind of affects both, doesn't it?
Yeah, so if he's in renewal period, he could essentially switch his type of residency for an EU family member, basically, which means he'll then get the right to work and have a 5-year card, assuming that they're on a non-lucrative visa at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like it. They're on some kind of visa, so that's yeah. And you do that. The best thing to do, you have said on a previous show, is to wait until you're about to renew
Yeah,
a
I think the
non-lucrative
best
visa.
get to the renewal period. I mean, it depends as well. So if you don't really want to be submitting, the application the day after you get married, because they may question that. We've had that in the past where they do like to see longevity in the marriage. And also, if you're already in Spain, you would have to prove things like with EU family members, you're actually living with that person. That's the padron convivencia where you're all living together. You may have proof of joint bank accounts and stuff like that, just to justify the relationship.
Fair point. And Craig Halliday says, please thank Chris for his call last week. For getting factual information you can understand is priceless. You two scouts, take a bow. I shall take a bow. Cheers. I don't do very much. I just ask the questions, but I put it out there. It's all part of it. And Emma B says, thanks for your super duper advice. Excellent, helping me majorly. I'm applying for the NLV and my finance is based on money deposited by my brother from late mum's house. He wanted, do I need a letter from him to confirm where that's from?
Yes. Yeah, you'll need it. So you'll need it's been deposited by your brother. You would need the proof of how the money got to your brother and then the proof of how it got to you. So if it was an inheritance, there would be a will there, I'd imagine, and the document. You've got to build up the trail of documents to the point where that money came to you, basically. So yeah, definitely. But from origin, from source to arriving in your account, it's best to have a full trail and an explanation.
Great stuff. Alicante Explorer has an easy question. I can answer this. With a non-lucrative visa, can we earn income in Spain after 5 years is up? Yes, you can. Once you've got your permanent residency, that is.
Yeah.
There we go. Not much more to say about that one, unless there's any. It depends as anything.
No, you can after when you get your larga duración, you can.
Brilliant. Unless you've not stayed in Spain for long enough and you've got to carry on with your.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you've got to obviously meet the requirements for the larga duración and make sure that over the 5 years that you're here, you've not done anything criminal, so they give it to you.
Yeah. So avoid being a criminal, Alicante.
Keep your healthcare up to date.
Yes. So all being well. So anything else about renewals? Is there any particular updates on that?
No, at the moment. I mean, we've just recently had a few renewals go through the Cádiz province, which went through extremely quickly, and with some foreign investments, which I was very doubtful whether they'd actually accept the document provided, but they did, so that was great. Granada seemed to be going through quite well, but as I said, there's delays. Places like Malaga, Alicante. I mean, they are dealing. I think Almeria, they put out a thing saying they're dealing with between 35 and 45,000 Mercurio submissions a year.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's an awful lot, isn't it? So one with Almeria, actually, we have a lot of clients in the Arboledas area, Mojaca type area. Now, Almeria have been responding to the renewals with a request for the renewal taxes to be presented. Okay, but you can't present the documents without presenting the taxes. because the system doesn't allow you to move forward. So if you are a recipient of one of these letters asking to pay the taxes, and you're scratching your head thinking, well, I've put it on there already, then you have to go back to them with a letter saying, I already submitted it on this date, and just resubmit the taxes. It's a little bit silly, but that's what we're doing for our clients.
Good to know. And Jason has just leapt in to answer Alicante's question as well, but saying that while you're on the non-lucrative visa, if you manage to find a job after you've been there for a year, you can change to a work visa. So, and he says Chris may clarify this.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, look, the biggest problem with finding a job, I mean, you'd have to have a good job. It wasn't easy. It depends on what you want to do. If you're a highly qualified individual, you may be sought after by a company or whatever. But it was tough to get a job before Brexit here in Spain. The labour market here in Spain is completely different to the UK. You may not speak Spanish, so that may make it slightly harder to get a job. And the company that takes you on has to make a huge commitment to you to be able to do that. But I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that if you are intending to do that and come and get a job in Spain, make sure that you depend on that to be here, then make sure you do your research beforehand, because it's not always the easiest place to get a job.
No, it's very true. It's slightly easier to get a job after you've been there for rather than doing it rather than applying from the UK.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I mean, the process is easy if you're here and then you get a job, you can switch. But actually getting the job in the first place. Yeah.
And you're not actually limited if you're applying from in Spain and you've been here for a year. You're not limited to jobs which have been offered to EU citizens first. That's kind of the difference. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. You're just limited to who's willing to take that sort of risk on you as a company. I think if you'd be looking at probably the bigger cities where there'd be more companies, more movement that would want to make that kind of commitment, rather than it'd be quite hard to get a bar job, for example, that would pay the required amount and commit.
Yeah, and of course they'll think, well, there's no guarantee that you keep a bar job.
Yeah. It's the labour market's tough here, so. So it's just something to bear in mind.
Yes, indeed. So, Kim Dennis says, thanks for all the help, Chris, this week. How long will it be after presenting the extra documents to London?
Oh, it depends. Let's hope it's quick, basically. Kim, let's hope it's quick. I mean, normally, in our experience with the requirement letters being submitted, now these are the first ones in London, but we had a few from Manchester. They're pretty quick at turning them around because they've already revised the case, etc., and they've only given you a short amount of time to produce the documents. So I'm afraid we're in their hands on that one now.
Yes. And Robbo says, nice to see lots of new names on the live chat. You guys are doing a fantastic job and the word is spreading. Yes, indeed. Good to see. Yeah, keep telling everybody on Facebook and push them towards the channel gently. Don't force them. Just show them my smile. There we go. Any other updates? Have we come to the roundup?
I think that's about it, really. I mean, the updates we are going into like the autumn period, which is generally a good period for the residencies. It's a nice time. We've seen the waiting times coming down, and we're just hoping that we get these requirement letters overturned and get their visas through from them. So people from London, it would be interesting if anybody is watching from London, if they have had one of these, or even in the future, if you're watching this whenever, just write the comment. So do keep an eye. We want to know what's going on. We can tell you what's going on with our clients, but it'd be nice to know what's going on out there as well with other people's, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So, tell us everything. Everybody have a comment on the actual YouTube comments. and obviously the ones who are on live chat at the moment, those live chats, they do mean something and they go towards the algorithm, and that is brilliant. But if you can also comment underneath the video, that would be brilliant. So Robo, Alicante, Kim, Jason, all of those people, El Davido, just stick a comment down below, and also go on to Chris's channel as well. That's the Upsticks YouTube channel. There's some great videos on there, and if you want the number for BLS, that's on Chris's last video you did, which is all about, which says BLS London. I can't remember the title of it, but it's obvious if you look on recent videos on the channel.
Yeah, it'd be great to know. I'll say to some clients today, obviously with our clients, we share a lot of the experience on the channel with people, our clients and stuff. But there are people doing it themselves, or going and just have, like we say, questions, even questions in the future, for us, and it helps everybody in the community, doesn't it? I'm happy to answer those as well, So.
Yeah, absolutely. We have quite a good community of people who are sort of working in the industry, helping in lots of different ways, and there's a lot of sharing going on, with people like Rochelle and with my guest who's on next week, and lots of others. In fact, everybody who's been on this show, I think, is in that kind of flow. Oh, somebody scanned the QR code to donate. Thank you so much. If you feel like donating a cup of coffee, I could do with a cup of coffee right now after that late gig last night. So buy us a coffee. It's only a £5. Yeah. And smash that like button, says Alicante. Oh, Jason's got a question. Let's just before we answer that one, let's just say any more questions, quickly put them on the live chat. There is a time delay on that. And so while we're waiting for that, let me just remind you that if you have any more questions or comments after we go off the air, do put them in the YouTube comments below. Don't go back to the Facebook page where you found a link to this video and put it underneath that on Facebook, because only one person will read it. That will be me, and I love to read your messages. But what we need is for everybody to have the information so that it can be shared to everybody who's watching the video. Put it on YouTube, so that everybody else will benefit. It's a win-win-win with a cherry on top. Tell everybody that. And don't forget, of course, to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, so you'll be the first to know what's coming up each week on the live shows and the midweek videos. So what's Jason's asking here? During 5 years on the NLV, how long can I be out of Spain? I plan to return to UK in the summer months if it's too hot in Spain. And Robbo says, you wimp. Brilliant, no, yes. So what's the rule? Yeah.
If you intend to go for your larga duración, your permanent residency, in an NLV, you can only be out for up to 10 months in the first 5 years. Mm. Okay, so that's averages at 2 months a year, doesn't it? Which should be just about right to get rid of Jill. I'd say, what would you say, last week of June and up to the third week in August would be the hottest period. So there you go.
Yeah, I'd say so. Depends on the year, but it was really hot this year from June. Yeah.
I went back in August and it just did nothing but rain. So don't bother, just stay.
Yeah, stay. You can always find ways, Jason, of coping with it. You've got aircon in houses. You just go into restaurants and they've got ways of keeping you cool.
Yeah.
And most of them, including putting an ice in the glass and filling it up with something lovely,
Yeah. Cans of San Miguel, frozen San Miguel all over your body. That's what it is.
There you go. And a free advert for San Miguel.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Everybody, drink beer. There's the advert for this week.
Yeah.
If only I could get San Miguel to sponsor the show, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Cool.
I'm not sure we're allowed.
I'll do a live show from outside the factory, shall I? And give it a bit of promo.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're allowed to advertise beer on YouTube. I don't know what the rules are for that. Yeah, they stopped. Yeah, we'll do cigarettes instead.
Well, we'll soon know if I go and stand there and I get banned or ran over by something or something. So it's right next to where I live, the San Miguel factory. It stinks.
Is it?
Yeah, because of the hops and the stuff. It's next to a Malaga airport, isn't it?
Oh, it is, isn't it? Yeah, we drive past it all the time.
Yeah, so maybe we'll find. I'll work on the technology though. Maybe I won't have a dodgy set of earphones from the tourist shop over the road, and make sure it's not raining.
Yeah. Yeah, you can stop the rain, can't you? It's part of the Upsticks service.
Yeah.
Yeah, but actually, give us some more. Fill up the reservoirs first, and then you can stop it.
Yeah.
Just make it rain at night. That's the best thing. And then we
Yeah.
can all go out during the day in the sunshine. Yeah, that's the
That's
thing
it.
to do. So, Jason says, stay in the pool. That's one way of doing it, yeah. And we are, another compliment from Kenneth Hobbs. We're in the same situation and agree. Chris has been a star this week. You're a star.
Cheers.
There we go. Great show, says Jason. Tinto Verano for me, says Bridget Ellie. And that is, yes, I don't drink it myself, but I know an awful lot of people do. It's becoming a big thing. It's a big thing for Spaniards, isn't it, Tinto Verano?
It's always been back when I was in my 20s, not head careening towards my 50s. When we lived in the north of Spain, they used to have things called cubatas. Now, cubatas are slightly different. Cuba Libres is slightly different to what we know here. So, Tinto Verano or Calimocho used to be served in a liter. And then depending on how many people you had in your social group, they would give you that many straws.
No.
So you have to make sure you're a fast drinker. But
Yeah.
so if
No
you're
problem.
so generally, like say kids would go out, young people would go out. And we're talking 20 years ago now. This was my sort of baptism into Spain of having a social life. I couldn't really understand because in the UK we had, you go and buy your drink and you buy a round, don't you?
Uh-huh.
And here it was, no, you need to buy a Cuba Libre. And I was like, really? They're like, yeah. And the straw, I was like, where's mine? So they gave it to me. And I went, is that all for me? They were like, no, we all drink it. And then you have to go back when it's your round and we do it again. I'm like, okay. But I'm British, don't you? Because it's not going to last. But that was Tinto Verano, a lot of them. And then if somebody chose something you didn't like Tinto Verano, which is my favourite, it's a bit sweet, you'd have that. So, but yeah, it was. Whereas nowadays, if you come to like where I am here, Muñeca, it's quite a nice drink. You're served in a glass, lots of ice. It's certainly not drank through a straw with 6 of your mates.
Yeah. That probably stopped during COVID, didn't it? The sharing of the straws. You couldn't even lean in to be drinking from the same vessel.
I'll be honest now, with the paper straws, I don't think it'd work anymore.
No, they sounded like a good idea at first, but it's been shown that actually in the paper straws, they've put special chemicals in them to stop the straws from just disintegrating on the drink, and they're probably almost as bad as plastic, which is a terrible thing.
Yeah, no, it's not good.
Yeah. Auntie's saying, is that Doogie Dog in the background? Well, there's nothing moving in the background of me. Or is it, do you mean in Chris's background or in mine? I'll show you. There's definitely nothing in my background.
I have enormous seagulls in my background. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah. It's lovely. That seafront is very nice. I'll still to get back to Almuñeca.
I do think I'm about to get kicked off the table, though. Cause,
oh, yeah. Oh, no. Oh, no.
I've only had 2 coffees and every ram is eating churros. I'm taking up a place for 4 people to eat churros. So.
I want churros. So, here's Doogie. Yes. Hello. I'd better go now. Sketch needs his hand back. Bye. There we go. I had to show him on the show. We'll get him back up. Yeah, we'll get him back up again on the Wednesday. I don't know whether to keep doing these news items every Wednesday or I should really be doing videos, really helpful videos about residency and all of the other things that I used to do on the Wednesday videos. But it's slightly lazy doing news items because all I have to do is pick a couple of news items and do it. And it's only a 3-minute video. And
I think they're cool, though. I think they're cool because it's in things like with people who are actually living here now. We've always, all our videos have been focused on people coming, aren't they? But, even I don't generally, sometimes don't get time to listen to the news. I'll have the radio on, don't catch bits. So if you sort of extract and highlight various points, I think it's cool. But I might be wrong. But I think it's brilliant because it's it saves me having to go and look for it if you're highlighting it.
Oh, there you go. I'll do them just for you then, Chris. That'll be fun.
Just for me.
Oh well, tell us, everybody. Tell us in the comments below whether you. There we go. Chris is just asking for the bill. While he's doing that, yeah, everybody stick a comment down below. And Ant said, "Dog was barking, cat orange whistling." There we go. That's another failed emoji coming up here. Some people are able to put. Robbo, you're able to put emojis on, and Jason, you've put an emoji on. How come yours are coming up and Ant's don't work?
Is it a difference between Apple and Android? I've had that before.
I wonder. Yeah, it could be. So you're all sorted out, Chris. So anything else to say before we move on? What are we going to do in a couple of weeks?
Oh, let's see. I wonder if I can find myself in somewhere as exotic as Almuñeca. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can we do a lot more travelling around in the winter because it's cooler? So that's so yeah. We can do what we're going to do in 2 weeks. Have a think. Then our sort of autumn residency update. I'll look out for some more funny signs to put up.
Yeah. We'll have a good chat about something, I'm sure.
We'll have a chat. I think we've got maybe a Christmas surprise coming up as well, that we talked about.
Oh yeah, everybody, make sure you've got your Christmas trees up ready.
Yeah. So we can start planning for that as well.
It's going to be Halloween, isn't it?
Oh, of course, yeah. We should do a Halloween special. I've lost you there. Cats, you're frozen. Well, I'm frozen. I can't see if I'm frozen and still live or if Scats is frozen.
The show. Oh, hello, Chris. You're back.
Oh, sorry about that. I got kicked off my table.
I didn't know whether I got kicked off as well. It said the connection was lost, and I just said goodbye to you. But it's okay. You're back. So I was just telling everybody who's on next week's show, which is Louise Carr. She's from MoveToSpainGuide.com, and she specialises in the digital nomad visa. Hooray! That's getting really busy. The last person we had on the show for the digital nomad visa is Rochelle, and I heard on her site, on her Facebook group, that she's so busy with digital nomad visas that she can't take any new clients until March or something like that.
Wow.
So it's just, that's mad, isn't it? So busy. So it'll be good to have Louise on, and I think she's another one who shares information around and has dealt with friends with Rochelle as well. So that'll be good. Be good to have a new friend.
Yeah, it's a lot of people are really. I mean, a digital nomad visa is a different kettle of fish, isn't it? I mean, with us, fortunately, we speak to clients sometimes a year or two before they're coming over on the non-lucrative visa. That's with Mr. Sydney, who watches the channel the other day, and we engaged in 2021, I think. And I actually got to meet him the other day and his wife, and so it's. But again, everybody who's in the industry is extremely busy at the moment. Spain's very popular, so if you are booking calls, get them in early.
I had an argument with a troll about 4 or 5 months ago now on a Facebook group, and he was saying, "Yeah, nobody's moving to Spain anymore from the UK. Nobody is." And he wouldn't take my argument. That he says, "What proof have you got that there are people moving?" I said, "Well, everybody that I speak to on the show is absolutely loaded up with work. The visa centres." There's been no letdown. In fact, with the BLS centres, presumably there are more places for people to sit. There are more appointments per day. So, if anything, it's increasing.
It is, and everybody's still adapting, especially obviously with we know Spain is very popular with British citizens. A lot of people British passports and visas. I was in the town hall in Salabreña next door yesterday, just to get some info from there. And I was chatting to the guy, and he was like, "Look, they're still getting used to seeing non-lucrative visas there." They said they couldn't believe it. It's don't get as many people coming to that town whereas somewhere like Oaxaca, you've got loads of people there now. So people are still adapting to it, and there's still things like that town hall. I had to go visit them to explain the demographics of the visa, because they're taking 4 to 6 weeks to give people padron certificates.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, really, when it's somebody on a visa, they need it a bit sooner than that. So any way of getting the police round, because they do police checks any quicker, and we discussed that. So yeah, but I can definitely tell you that there's people coming.
Yeah, absolutely. So our subject for 2 weeks' time, you'll find out on Facebook, or you'll find out on Chris's YouTube channel, or on everywhere else. We'll announce it, and you can ask questions in advance on YouTooSpain Facebook community or the Facebook page. There are 2 different ones, so join up on both of them, because sometimes there are different questions being asked on that. Or, of course, subscribe to this YouTube channel and to Chris's YouTube channel. We usually have some kind of, I think we've got a link to that down below. Yes, we do. So thank you everybody who's joined us on the live chat, and to you who've been watching back on the video and leaving comments and hitting the like button and buying me a coffee.com. See you on the next latest helpful video on Wednesday evening, or breaking news, whatever it is that happens this week. And then again next Saturday live at our regular time of 9 o'clock if you're in the UK or Ireland or even the Canaries, 10 o'clock if you're in Spain or Central Europe, 4 o'clock in the morning if you're in New York. I keep on mentioning New York. I should mention some other places as well, but you can make your mind up. Or it's sometime in the afternoon if you're in India. We can work out the rest for that. And so that's all for this week. Somebody pass around the visas and residency cookies. And peace and love to everybody. And here is one final message from everybody at YouTooSpain. Bye for now.
Bye, lads. Bye. Goodbye. Toodaloo. Peace and love. Peas and fluff. Oi, oi. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. One more cosmic dance? All right, then. Look, Mum, I'm dancing. Oh, I'm all a quiver. Let's dance.